everyone, today I'm going to do my May wrap up. But before I start with this video, as you may notice, I have a new camera. At least I hope you notice, because otherwise it would be a bit of a waste of money, but I think it looks way better. I got the Canon G7X Mark II camera, like basically the YouTube vlogging camera, like everyone has this camera. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the focus and the lighting and basically all these settings. So if the lighting in this video looks a little bit weird, like don't pay attention to it, like I'm going to see what works best for me. But yeah, anyway, back to reading. This month I didn't have a very good reading month. I only finished 3 books. I was just so busy with everything and I was so unfocused and I really could not concentrate on reading. And I really did not like that, because normally reading really is my like thing that makes me relax and that makes me feel okay. So I just hated it that I wasn't able to concentrate as much on books as I usually am. I just really miss the pleasure that reading normally gives me. But yeah, I still did finish 3 books, so I'm going to talk about those today. And yeah, basically let's just get started with this video, and then I'm going to talk all about the books that I finished in May. The first book that I read in May is Underrotated Skies by Louise Gornall. This is a YA mental health book and it's about a 16-year-old girl named Nora. Nora suffers from severe agoraphobia. Oh, I hope I pronounced that right. Agoraphobia. It's almost impossible for her to leave her house, and also she has very severe anxiety. But then one day she meets this boy that is her new neighbor. And yeah, it's basically about her life and about her mental health struggles, and it's also about how love doesn't cure mental illness. So yeah, Under Rose-Tainted Skies is of course a very popular book, especially last year. I heard so many people raving about it and it had been on my TBR for quite some time. And this month I finally picked it up, I finally read it, and I have to say I really enjoyed it, but I didn't like completely fall in love with it as some people seem to do. And yeah, that might be because, as I said, I was in a very weird reading mood and I had a lot of trouble, as I said, concentrating on stuff. So maybe that's why I didn't completely connect with this book. I think it's mostly when I read it, I really enjoyed it and I found it very, very fascinating and interesting to see how Nora deals with her mental illness and how this works for her. But it's been a couple of weeks now and I'm looking back at it and I don't think it's left like that much of a lasting impression on me. I could relate to Nora on some parts, especially the anxiety parts, but of course I've never experienced something as severe as she does in this book. Also, this book was a little bit shorter and maybe a little bit more simple than I had anticipated, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just like something different from what I had expected. So yeah, overall it's very hard for me to say, because like I enjoyed this book but I didn't absolutely love it, but I cannot really say why I didn't absolutely love it. I think it was just a fine book, like a very enjoyable read. So yeah, in the end I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it, but it didn't like massively stood out to me in any way. Then the next book that I read this month is The Extinction Trials by S.M. Wilson. This book is about a fictional dystopian world where the population has gotten way too big and now there's no space anymore and there's no food anymore. But there are these sort of extinction trials where people have to go on this sort of mission, and there are also dinosaurs involved, and I really don't want to say more apart from that, because it is a very interesting story. And yeah, I picked this book up because my friend Brit from Basically Brit recently read it and she really loved it. But yeah, if you have seen my latest reading vlog, then you might know that I had some mixed feelings about it. First of all, there's this like logical error that stood out to me right from the beginning and that annoyed me throughout the book. And that is the fact that in this world the population has gotten way too big. There are way too many people. And it seems like this had been a problem for some time now. And because of that, there's no healthcare. Everyone is hungry, everyone is sick, there's this plague going around. But what I don't understand is when there are too many people, but also people are constantly dying from disease and hunger, how does the population not shrink? Like, I was taught about this in economical and social history. We talked about it like popular checks and preventive checks. Popular checks means that if the population gets too big, people will get hungry, people will die, and then like the population will grow smaller again. And preventive checks means that people have less children, so they have less like mouths to feed. It's like Thomas Malthus, I believe, like we had this whole thing about it, but anyway. But I just could not understand how the problem worked in this book, and I was expecting it to be addressed, but it wasn't. Maybe it will be addressed in later books in the series, or maybe it's something you're not supposed to think about. I don't know. It wasn't like I was actively searching for a problem like this, but I just see these things very quickly and it just annoys me. But okay, apart from that, I thought the book was okay. Like, if you ignore that thing, I thought the book was just like fine and enjoyable. Again, I did have a little bit of trouble really connecting to all the characters. I think the characters were fine, but I think they also could have been fleshed out more and maybe more developed. Everything happened so quickly, and sometimes it felt like it went a little bit too quickly. And there were some scenes that were like really cool and really entertaining, but also sometimes I was just quite bored. And again, maybe that was my reading mood. Maybe it's just that this wasn't really like the book for me. I think it just missed that, like, that little bit of excitement for me, like that little bit extra that makes books special to me. This just didn't really have it. In the end, I gave the Extinction Trials 3 out of 5 stars because, as I said, it's a fine book. It's very much enjoyable again, but I don't think it really was my thing, and I don't know if I'm going to continue with this series. I'm just not sure. And then the last book that I actually finished in May was an Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. This was a reread for me because I read this book about 2 years ago, and back then I really loved it. And again, if you've seen my latest reading vlog, you know that this time around I really enjoyed it as well. I was rereading this because the next book in the series is coming out very soon, and I really want to refresh my memory a little bit because it had been so long since I had read it. I didn't remember all the details, and I really want to remember everything to really enjoy the third book like to its fullest. And if you don't know this series, An Ember in the Ashes is about two people, a like soldier named Elias and a slave girl named Laia. They live in this sort of fantasy world, but like Roman inspired. It's an empire, and there are these people who have the power, and there are also scholars who are oppressed. And yeah, somehow Laia and Elias end up meeting, and their fates end up connecting. And that's all I'm going to say about the plot. But yeah, second time around, I again really enjoyed it. I had actually forgotten how much I liked this book. It's just a very fun series. It has everything that I love. Sometimes it's a bit cheesy, sometimes it's a bit angsty, but like in the right way, like in a way that I enjoy it. And it made me feel a little bit nostalgic because I read this when I like first discovered booktube, so it took me a little bit back to like that feeling. But yeah, An Ember in the Ashes, really love it. I'm currently rereading A Torch Against the Night, which is book 2 in the series, again so that I'm completely caught up again for the next book, book 3. But yeah, I gave An Ember in the Ashes 5 out of 5 stars for the second time. I just really love this book. Those were the books that I actually finished this month, but there were also 2 books that I read a big part of it, but I didn't finish yet, but I still want to like give them an honorable mention in this video. First of all, I am currently reading City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. Again, another reread. I read this for the first time last year and I really loved it. So yeah, I've started it. I'm this far in, and I think I might actually continue with it on audiobook because I think that might be a fun experience for a reread. I just really love this series, and again, it's something that I want to reread for the like next book in the Shadowhunter series. So definitely going to finish this in June. Then I'm also about halfway through the Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. You probably know it. It's a very popular book, a very old book. But yeah, I am reading this book. I have seen the movies, and so far I can say that the book is so different from the movies, especially like in its tone. The Hobbit is like really more silly and adventurous, and the movie is like so serious and dramatic. But yeah, really enjoying The Hobbit. I love to like experience this story in a different way. And again, a book I will definitely finish in June. So yeah, this was it for my May reading wrap up. I really hope that June will be a little bit better. Like, I really hope I can get my reading flow back because I love my reading flow so much. And I am still busy with school in June, but I'm pretty sure I can make a little bit more time to read, and I want to feel excited about reading again, and I just hate it when I feel so disconnected from it. But yeah, this was it for this video, and if you like this video, please go subscribe or give it a thumbs up because I would really appreciate that. And yeah, and then hopefully I will see you again in my next video. Bye!